Hello, everyone. This is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and Jim Jordon is out. He no longer has the support of the Republican conference. So they are back to square one. And it's frustrating for everyone around. I'm sure even the people who ousted McCarthy, like Matt Gaetz, is frustrated. But um, I've got to say, it's kind of your fault, bruh. It's kind of your fault. So we'll be talking about that. I want to also share with you guys this segment of Ted Cruz talking about some of the victims in the terrorist attack that happened in Israel, because I don't want people to memory hole it because it was a very awful thing that happened. Also, it looks like they released 2 American hostages, which is smart of them to do. They should release them all, but if they're going to release any, I assume they'd be Americans to give Americans, um, you know, less incentive to interact, I suppose. But I don't know what's going to happen. Biden did a. I saw little snippets of the speech. I want to wait till I watch all of it before I give a in-depth sort of analysis of it. So, um, but he doesn't. I don't have full confidence of this not exploding out in different places. I think it's possible to not have it explode beyond like the conflict with Israel and going into Gaza and it being centralized there. But if there's like weakness on a um in our front, it's definitely gonna draw in other terrorist groups and so on and Muslim nations and then it'll probably drag the rest of us in it. So I wish I had better news for you guys and confidence, but not in our leader right now. Absolutely not. Um, Also, there was a singer songwriter who's apparently been nominated a couple times for the Dove Awards. If you don't know what the Dove Awards is, it's like, it's a contemporary Christian music awards thing. So they decided to go this year in a dress. And so they did a video explaining why they went in a dress and it's gone viral. So I just wanted to talk about it because it's just amazing to me. But it's just the world we're living in, I guess. But before we jump into it, I would encourage you guys to go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate, cost stream, cost room, and website, all that stuff so you guys can support. In that way, I very much do appreciate it and appreciate you. If you're watching on Facebook, you guys can send stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you guys can send super chats and super thanks. But the best way to give is directly go to the website. And again, I appreciate you if you're willing to do that. Also, check out different merchandise that we have available at blacktnews.com, like this Be Better, Not Bitter shirt, which, I wish is uh, something that our generation could really jump on because it seems like so many people want to take other people's grievances and wear chips on their shoulder that they don't deserve. So, people in the past who really, my sister mentioned she preached last Friday and she mentioned my grandmother and her mother on my mom's side and how much they have seen through life. My grandmother died at 102. Her mother died at 101, I think. And, you know, with all the things that they saw, world wars and, Afghanistan and all kinds of different stuff. And, you know, they just lived a lot of life and just never really let stress get to them and bad things that they obviously experienced themselves through racism and civil rights or whatever, they just never let it weigh on them. And that's just, I wish more people could be like them, because so many people are just so angry today, and then they're mad and they resent you if you're not also just as angry and you don't pick up the torch and go burn something down. And that's just not the world that we can afford to live in, because I mean, what happens when we burn the world down? It's amazing to me, by the way, side note, I've seen so many videos of people ripping down posters of missing people in Israel and from all over the world. And I don't get it. Most of the videos I've seen are women. There was a video that was viral of these two really big buff dudes who did it. And apparently one was a dentist or worked at a dentist office, and he got fired, apparently, or at least that's the lore on social media. I'll have to dig into it further, but um, uh, I don't get it. Like, why do posters of missing people offend you to the point where you want to tear them down? Do you think they deserve to be kidnapped? I don't understand it. Even if you're like, I hate Israel, I don't understand that. Why the ripping down of the posters? Why the ripping down of the posters? I have to make some kind of compilation video and post it for you guys so you can see some of them. But um I'm just amazed. I think one girl, they did fine and she ended up like apologizing and whatnot. But um people do crazy stuff. You put them on blast and then all of a sudden they want to act like they got some sense. But um I don't understand that bit of rage that people allow themselves to just build up in their hearts, to the point where they just gotta act crazy in public. Which, by the way, I have to show you guys a video um that someone sent, one of the Republican congressmen who would not support Jim Jordon. They played it on CNN and it was pretty disgusting. So I can talk about the left for being crazy, but man, oh man, there's folks on the right who rise to the occasion as well. And there's a lot of people who, I don't know, everyone's always looking for something, and 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 people sometimes when they're not well, they get into politics and they put too much faith or devotion into particular things, and they get really angry when things don't go their way, and that can happen on both sides of the aisle. And so I'm gonna be fair and show you guys this really evil video today. So anyway, uh I guess we'll jump into it. I got distracted with my little intro. So yeah, Jim Jordan, he was supposed to be the guy. Of course, they ousted McCarthy. Matt Gaetz was the one who did that. He got a couple Republicans on and like all these Democrats and ousted McCarthy, which McCarthy, said behind the scenes, like, that the Democrats were like, oh, if they ever try to do something with that, we care about the institution. We won't let that happen. They totally helped to oust him. So don't trust anyone in this game, I guess. And people's criticism, the largest one was, is there some kind of other plan other than ousting McCarthy? And it didn't seem to be one, because people really, Scalise was a name that was floated around. A lot of people really like Jim Jordan, wanted Jim Jordan to be the speaker, but Jim Jordan and Scalise had both backed McCarthy and claimed that they didn't want it. Well, after he got ousted, of course, Scalise put his name in. People nominated him, and he's really ill right now too. I hope he pulls through. Seems like a really big job to try to take on, but I guess he was willing to do it. But he didn't have the numbers, so he bowed out. And then we got Jim Jordan, right? So he failed 2 votes. And so there was talk about empowering the temporary speaker holding the position right now, and even doing it until January. But the Republicans were not for that, so they were going to do another vote. Jim and I played that video for you guys yesterday with Jim Jordan talking about it. He was going to talk to the guys who wouldn't vote for him. Apparently, that has all collapsed. He does not have those numbers, and I don't think they have any names right now. And they're supposed to put their names in on Sunday, and they're going to have another conference on Monday. And you might be saying, there's no speaker. They need to work through the weekend. I guess apparently they're concerned that if they try to push this through the weekend, that there be Republicans who would not show up, and then they'd have an attendance issue. And if they have an attendance issue, they could accidentally elect Hakeem Jeffries, who is the minority leader right now. So it is really a clown show. That's the title of this episode. And as I said, Matt Gaetz was upset. Let me read his tweet, because I did retweet it. He said the most popular Republican in Congress was just knifed in an anonymous vote in a secret closed door meeting in the basement of the Capitol. This is the swamp at work. So, Matt. You can call it the swamp, perhaps. However, this predicament is your fault. There's just no way around it. It is completely his fault. And you could say, well, he just wanted, a better guy up there, but you have to have a plan and a pathway to success. This is politics, where your enemies are waiting on the other side to knife you, which, by the way, the enemies, or their colleagues who they disagree with on so many things. I won't say 99, that's a really big exaggeration, but the Democrats, the radical Democrats, as he will call them and raise emails off of, he worked with them to get rid of McCarthy. And so there was a really big pressure campaign. Phones are off the hook. Grassroots are like, oh, we're going to get Jim Jordon in. But however, it wasn't just people launching it wasn't just people saying things that, like, hey, please, we want them to get in there. We really like Jim Jordon. We'd appreciate it. There are people who were threatening folks. So CNN aired one of the voicemails that somebody left a wife. They didn't get specific because they didn't want to, I guess, reveal the identities or whatever. But it's really disgusting what people left on voicemails, and people on both sides of the aisle are capable of this, and this is just gross.
I have some exclusive audio right now of a threatening message that was left as a voicemail for the wife of one of the Republican lawmakers who opposes Jordan. This has only been edited to take out identifying information of the wife and the lawmaker. We've bleeped out some of the language, but not all of it. And I want to warn you, this is pretty ugly stuff. Take a listen.
Why is your husband such a pig? Why would he get on TV and make an asshole of himself? Because he's a deep state prick? Because he doesn't represent the people? So what we're going to do is we're going to come follow you all over the place. We're going to be up your ass nonstop. We are now Antifa. We're going to do what the left does, because your of a husband gets on TV. Oh, the bad guys, they did, so I'm going to vote for Kevin McCarthy, a piece of shit who everybody knows. And for his piece of shit ass talk about Americans who are actually fighting for Americans as the bad people, says everything about him. So you, your husband, and we're not like the left. We aren't violent, but we're going to follow your ass, every appointment you have, everything you fucking do. Your husband's an asshole. You should talk to his stupid ass. We're at war. Israelis being killed, and your dumb husband is acting like a 2-year-old. No wonder. He's a warmongering piece of shit. So listen, you're going to keep getting calls and emails. I'm putting all your information over the internet now. Everybody else is, and you will not be left alone because your husband, Jim Jordon, or more conservative, or you're going to be molested like you can't ever imagine. And again, non-violently. You won't go to the beauty parlor. You must be a bitch to marry an ugly motherfucker like that.
With me now to discuss Republican Congressman Mike McCall from Texas. He's the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Mr. Chairman, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. The pressure campaign for Jordon was announced over the weekend. Calls like that started happening immediately. Jordon didn't denounce it until last night. What is going on in your party?
Well, this shows you the level of political discourse in this country now.
No, in your party, sir. In your party.
I think it's despicable.
That does show you the political discourse in this country, as he tried to say. But Tapper wants to talk about Republicans, and hey, if it was the other way around, folks on our side of the aisle will be talking about folks on the left. So I know people can leave pretty radical voicemails and stuff. A friend of mine, I guess I don't want to give too much of her information out about the situation, but somebody I know who's in a public situation is a Republican, and people left the most vile voicemails for her, and I thought she should make them public, but I guess I have to follow up on that if they thought it was a good idea or not. But to just let people know the sort of position that they put her in. But I'm sure obviously Jim Jordon wouldn't like things like that. I don't know how nasty of the voicemails he's aware of early coming into that stuff. But I'm sure this pressure campaign and the rhetoric that some people have left on those voicemails probably contributed to the fact of people not wanting to support Jim Jordon anymore. Probably because most people, I would think at this point, just want a speaker and want to get it done. And but most people don't appreciate being bullied, I'm sure. And so since some people are not only being, bullied, they're being threatened. Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that Jim Jordon didn't work out. Sometimes people just push too hard. The January 6th, there were Ted Cruz and other people in the Senate were working on or talking about doing some kind of delay back to the state thing, and we're talking through it, or how could it be legally make sense and whatnot. And then the riot broke out, and then everyone's like, no, we just gotta vote this through. And so I made the point of, well, was it the right thing to do to delay because you guys thought that made sense, or was that just a political game? Because if it was the right thing to do, then it would still be the right thing to do. But I understand why you've changed your mind. So the people who wanted that to be delayed obviously got played, and went in there and acted a fool, and what they were trying to achieve ended up being destroyed. So politics is not just about feelings. It's not just about trying to achieve an end goal. You have to use wisdom about how you get there, and that's just mentally ill. It's just mental illness on parade. Just gross. I hope, well, I'm going to assume that's verified and that's a real Republican constituent pressuring. I guess there's always a chance that it was somebody on the left who wants to make Republican look bad. I'll give myself that disclaimer. But whoever that person was, I hope they traced that person and, looked up their number or whatnot, somehow, and that he's gonna get a visit from authorities. Um, but I know that there can be people who threaten folks on both sides of the aisle. I have friends who've been threatened over not even like big things like this, like smaller local things, nonstop harassment. And it just needs to stop. It just needs to stop. It's not productive. And it's crazy. So if you wanted Jim Jordon to be speaker, congratulations, you failed. And at this point, I don't know I don't know what other names they're gonna pull up that people are gonna agree with. The best path might just be backwards to McCarthy, though. I don't know why he'd want to go through that mess again. And I definitely wouldn't do it as long as Matt Gaetz could vote him out with a vote. But I heard Matt Gaetz wants to run for it's speculated he wants to run for governor. I hope that doesn't work out. You have to be wiser than that. You have to be wiser than this. They obviously had no plan. He had no plan and no pathway. And the fact that, Jim probably didn't really have a good pathway either, so they probably shouldn't have even bothered with the other votes. But he obviously got some wires crossed and things wrong. But anyway, I don't know if Snacks is still in the comments, but hey Snacks, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a minute. Anyway, moving on. I do want to give credit to Ted Cruz, because he did go to the floor to talk about some of the stories going on, or what happened when Israel was attacked. And it seems like a lot of people are trying to memory hole it a bit. By the way, I posted on YouTube New York Times, their cover that they had on the hospital bombing versus what actually happened, like the parking lot getting hit and some cars being destroyed. And there's some people who still don't believe that it was a Palestinian rocket. And someone was like, but there was a press conference with corpses and a hospital destroyed. And don't you know that they run propaganda? Don't you know that terrorists lie? Like, I don't care. I don't care if they're on your side, bruh. Like, you at least acknowledge that that they can lie. Like, the building is still there. It's still there. The solar panels, even on the roof, are still there. Like, we have video. We have video of what it looks like now. We have video of them shooting the rockets and it's veering off and hitting that location. There's plenty of evidence. Al Jazeera must be really annoyed that they accidentally aired that live. It's there. There's other surveillance video. There's drone footage. There's like geolocation stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. And then the US, looked at that too. You can choose not to believe it, but my gosh. And then someone went into a rant about, you don't know what my people have been through 75 years. Like, I don't care. Nothing you can say is going to justify the sort of things that happened on that Saturday. Like, a bad thing happened. A bad thing happened. So I'm amazed. And I know like there's people who I posted a video about TMZ talking about the paragliders and BLM, how they posted the paragliders. And some people are like, don't you know the paragliders has been debunked? I'm like, what do you mean it's been debunked? You can just read any report anywhere. There were paragliders. Hamas uploaded videos and stuff. know what happened. There are people who survived who describe what happened. Like, we know there are paragliders, but there is one video that someone had and it went viral on TikTok that wasn't actually the concert or of that attack, and it was something that had happened in Egypt some time ago. So I guess people are like, oh, they debunked that, so it didn't happen at all. Or if somebody used some footage of some video game, you're like, oh, this was all fake. I'm like, learn how to fact check. Like, so it's really bizarre to me. There's people who really just don't believe things. But and they keep going back to well, this one person posted this one thing that they deleted saying that Israel did it. I'm like, okay, that's one post from one person who deleted it, who's been wrong on stuff before, versus video evidence, plenty of it, and the fact that the hospital still exists. So I'm baffled. I'm really baffled. But people want to believe what they want to believe, I guess. Anyway, let me show you guys this video here with Ted Cruz. And again, I do appreciate him doing this. I wish I could make some TikToks like showing more stuff, but you cannot show that stuff on TikTok. My account will be banned so fast. But you know, I guess there's a bunch of stuff going on another side of TikTok that, you know, that I'm not in that algorithm where people just believe some really crazy things. There is a video of Hamas, like they uploaded it and they took it down once they realized that it didn't look like an alive person, it looked like a doll. But they had a doll that was like wrapped in some kind of, it wasn't a sheet or something, but something like it or whatever. And it had blood and stuff, and so someone was cradling it, like pretending to cry. And they had to take it down because it was obviously not a real person. And that's just a sort of propaganda that they upload. And there was another thing that happened when they said they hit a church and the church wasn't hit, so they hit an area near a church and the church still exists. So this kind of stuff keeps happening, and people keep parroting, the propaganda, and it spreads and it spreads. I'm not saying that everything that Israel puts out is true and right or whatever, but like, why trust the terrorists? I'm just baffled. But some people don't see them as terrorists. They just see them as resistors and freedom fighters. And then people who don't people get mad and they're like, oh, but this is just them. I'm like, okay, but if you think they're just resistors and not terrorists and they're just resisting on behalf of the people, then how can you say they're not with them? Maybe people are unaware and don't. I've seen some people say that they don't believe all the things that people are saying happened. And it's hard to dispel what they believe when you can't post it everywhere. You can go on Telegram and find things. I've seen some things on Twitter. Ben Shapiro, his show on not this past Monday, but the Monday before it, I think also Tuesday and stuff. They showed some really graphic stuff. I might do another video where I show some more graphic things, but I don't know how much they will really allow on YouTube. I was surprised that Ben was just like, screw it, I'm going to show this stuff. I'm sure you can find more stuff on Rumble, but there's some crazy stuff out there. But that doesn't mean people believe. People won't believe all the footage on the hospital stuff, even though their rockets fail all the time. But it's got to be that can't be a real baby that they show that's dead. It has to be AI generated. Like, people just believe the craziest stuff. But anyway, here's Ted Cruz.
Berry, 120 people were murdered. Hamas terrorists infiltrated the kibbutz from several directions, and they went home by home, murdering people. One of the victims was Tom Hand's 8-year-old daughter, Emily, who was at a sleepover with her friends. Tom is a single father. His wife, Emily's mom, had passed away earlier from cancer. On that Saturday morning when Hamas invaded the kibbutz, Tom thankfully was able to get out alive. Emily was murdered. In another kibbutz, 16-year-old Rotem Matthias was with his parents, Deborah and Shlomi, when Hamas terrorists came into their home. The terrorists shot Shlomi in the arm, blowing his arm off. Deborah, heroically, shielded Rotem with her body to save him. Both of Rotem's parents were murdered. At kibbutz near Oz, Yarden and Shiri Bibas, along with their 3-year-old son and their 9-month-old son, they were all hiding in their home when Hamas terrorists entered. They took Shiri and her sons and they kidnapped them. No one has heard from Yarden. Shiri and her sons are now hostages in Gaza, as well as Shiri's parents. These were all by design. We know from documents discovered on terrorist bodies that their goals were to, quote, kill as many as possible and, quote, capture hostages. We know they sought out specifically children, and they went specifically to children's rooms. In the face of this evil, Israel must and Israel will defend herself.
And I wonder if they even know for sure that all these people who, I mean, there's a lot of, people are still identifying and stuff. And some people who they thought were missing were just not able to be identified because, the sort of things that they've done to the bodies. There are, different bodies that the examiners, were trying to figure out who was who and what was what, just how people were killed together and burned together. So there were 2 hostages who were released. They're both Americans. I'm not surprised that if they're going to release anyone, I assume they'd be Americans because, well, I just kind of made this point today. You see a lot of people saying like, oh, America doesn't need to get involved. America first, America first, America first. I'm like, but they did kill Americans and they did kidnap Americans. And so I assume that they released Americans and maybe who knows, maybe they'll release all Americans. So people at least won't be like me saying, hey, they had Americans, right? We should at least try to get them back. So whether it keeps expanding and more people get dragged in or not, I hope that's not the case. I'm not gung-ho. We're looking forward to any sort of big war in the Middle East or a new world war or something like that. I really don't want that to happen. I think most people don't really want that to happen. But at the very least, I think we should give Israel space to go out and take out Hamas. It just kind of seems like a no-brainer. And I understand people not liking war, being upset by images on both sides that come out, though, be leery, obviously, of what Hamas points out. And you could be leery of both sides. That's fine. I understand people being upset by it, but I keep saying this: you wouldn't want a monster living at the foot of your bed. And some people got mad at me because I mentioned that it was an Islamic rocket that failed and hit the church, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know a missile could be Islamic." But I was writing it pretty fast. We know it was an Islamic terrorist um, rocket, right? And people are like, "This isn't about religion; it's about land." I'm like, guys, you can say that, but Hamas, it's in their charter to kill the Jews. That's what it's not just about land. It's not just about land. It's not just about how they treated us for past 15, 75 years. It's not about that. It's not about maybe people who are supporting them and want to feel liberated and are making excuses and saying, "Oh, they're just resisting." Maybe they feel that it's about not about religion, um, but it is about religion for these people. They're Islamic jihadist terrorists. They are, and you can reject that notion, but it's still gonna be the truth. It's still gonna be the truth. So I don't know what else to tell you guys. Um, if something equivalent had happened to the U.S. again, we would not allow ourselves to be lectured about how we were going to seek retribution and future safety of our citizens. If something equivalent like this happened, if something equivalent would be like us losing like 40,000 lives. Um, so we would not just be like, "Oh yeah, cool, ceasefire," while you have like Americans kidnapped. Okay, sure. Or ceasefire at all. It'd be like, "No, we have to complete the mission." So you cannot take a side, but I don't understand I don't understand people who are still so offended, especially to the point of like ripping down missing persons posters. I don't know how you could be so angry and so cruel to do that. Someone is missing, that family, those people. If the whole family wasn't killed, some people have like lost their whole family. Um, so I think they should take out Hamas and do what they can. And you know what? One reason why they haven't just gone in and did the land war and stuff is because they have all these terror tunnels, and they need to take out those terror tunnels, but they make them under civilian population. So if they wanted to just, take out the whole area, they can. They can do that, but they don't want to. They want to minimize casualties. So I don't understand how you cannot like either side, sure. You can think both sides are bad, but one side is evil. Hamas is evil, guys. And I'll keep saying this. I want to free Palestine, but I want to free them from Hamas. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'm not going to die on a hill defending Bibi, and their politics and their methods and all the things that happen in Israel. I love my country, but my country doesn't do great things and good things all the time. I can complain about Joe Biden all day long and their incompetence and them killing civilians. I could do that. So I'm not gonna jump on a landmine for Bibi or anything like that, defending them or their government or whatnot. But if something like that happened to us, we just wouldn't take the lecture. So I just people's responses still baffle me. Anyway, moving on. At the Dove Awards, there was someone who dressed up in drag. And so I guess I'll just go ahead and read through this article and then play his video for you guys. So this, I'm not familiar with the singer songwriter. And I I just now kind of got back in the past like year or so. I wouldn't listen to like a lot of radio besides like news talk radio. And then one day my sister like borrowed the car and then she had on like K Love. So now I listen to K Love all the time. And there's some great stuff on there, but I'm just not like um I just don't know a lot about folks in the industry and the songwriters and all that stuff and who's the newest artist, this and that. So I have no idea who this person is. Cayman's Call singer Derek Webb wears dress, flanks, drag Queen Flammy Grant at Dove Awards. And again, the Dove Awards is it's I guess like the Grammys or something, but for Christian music. And the Stellar Awards is more like gospel, and the Dove Awards encompasses will have gospel and stuff, but it'll have a more of a broader range and but I guess more of a focus on Christian music, contemporary stuff and all kinds of stuff. But Derek Webb apparently really enjoys wearing dresses, so much so, in fact, that on again, off again, Cayman's Call singer decided he would wear one of the Dove to the Dove Awards, the biggest night in Christian contemporary music, and invite a drag performer to join him. While Webb is no stranger to the Dove Awards, with 10 nominations and 3 wins, he said this year would be the first time he attended in person. So that's suspicious. Webb shared an image of himself wearing a woman's dress, pearls, and a black stockings with a caption, "Despite having won a few over the past 20 plus years, tonight will be my first ever trip to the Dove Awards in this company of some very good friends, Flammy Grant and Grace Belridge, among others. I hardly ever dress up, but this feels like a very special occasion." So there's the dress that he wore to the Dove Awards. So, in short, a short time later, he tweeted another image of himself along with Matthew Blake, a former worship leader who wears makeup and women's clothing and performs under the name Flammy Grant, and Grace Ballridge, who performs as Semler. No idea who any of these people are. Webb's ex-wife, artist Sandra McCracken, was nominated at this year's Dove Awards with her album Light in the Canyon. In 2014, Webb and McCracken divorced after 13 years of marriage after he admitted to an extramarital affair. The duo have 2 children together. Poor things. While Webb attributed his wardrobe to the special occasion of the Dove Awards, the Jesus Hypothesis singer uh, hasn't shied away from wearing women's clothing on multiple occasions in recent months. On the same day as the Dove Awards photos, he posted another image of himself in the same dress and an anniversary message to his wife, Abby Parker. Earlier this week, he also promoted print-on-demand merch, including a cup with an image of Webb wearing, you guessed it, a white skirt along with the lyrics, "But I say unto you, you're beautiful and free," from the song God in Drag. In the Gospels, Jesus repeatedly used the phrase, "But I say unto you," to proclaim himself as a higher authority than the scribes, according to the Christian apologetics website Got Questions. Um, when asked about his intentions in attending the Dove Awards despite not being nominated, Blake said he sees the appearance as a sort of banner wielding exploratory scouting expedition. "We're not going to stir up trouble or demand a single thing," he told Baptist News Global earlier this month. "We're simply going to be present to express our queer joy and to celebrate in our little corner of the room." Blake said he hopes to make queer Christians more visible simply by showing up at the Dove Awards. "I am interested in representation and taking up space and providing an option for Christians who believe in a God that redeems the whole world, not just the heteronormative parts of it," he was quoted as saying. Webb and Blake made headlines earlier this year when the male pair both donned makeup, colorful wigs, and women's clothing while standing in front of a cross for a music video. Uh, the video, "Boys Will Be Girls," includes the lyrics, "I heard Jesus loved and spent his life with those who were abandoned by proud and fearful men. So if a church won't celebrate and love you, they're believing lies that can't save you or them because you're so beautiful by any name." He also wrote a song titled God in Drag, in which he appears to mock the biblical notions of heaven and hell. "You've heard it said, oh, God so loves, but he'll reject you if you so choose he will respect you, and for all time he'll disconnect you from his love and those who've left you, and in the skies live on without you, while the devil's flames surround you, in the place that he designed to for eternity remind you of the choice that's now behind you. Either way, I bet you'll break a sweat. In July interview with the Sojourner's Web, he said, he went he wrote the song for a dear person in my life who came out to him just a few years ago, and compared performing in drag for the Boys Will Be Girls video to the incarnation of Christ. There is something about the experience of being put in drag by Flamey Grant that did feel incarnational to me, he was quoted as saying, and I think that's a great analog to the work that Jesus did and the power that incarnational risk has. Um, yeah. So, um, it's supposed to air tonight, I guess. So this is news. So he ended up posting a video on TikTok. Well, I guess TikTok and other places. I saw it on Twitter, and he explained, and it had a million views when I looked at it on Twitter anyway. So here's his explanation.
To the devil wards. As a cis, straight...
Oh, let me rewind that back a little bit.
Why did I wear a dress to the devil wards? As a cis, straight, white man, I walk into a room like that, and any room, with an incredible amount of advantage and privilege. If I'm attending as an ally of friends and colleagues, I should do everything possible to surrender that privilege at the door. If the way you look at my loved ones isn't the way you look at me, I'm not truly standing with them. It's like Stan Mitchell says, if you claim to be someone's ally but aren't getting hit by the stones thrown at them, you aren't standing close enough. Plus, I have amazing legs.
Okay, so my first reaction watching his video when he said, as a straight, cis, white man, my first reaction was, you ain't straight enough for me, bro. You ain't straight enough for me. That was my first reaction. Seeing the video. So I know sometimes dudes, I don't know. I know people have compared, they try to compare drag queens sometimes to, like, Mrs. Doubtfire, or like In Living Color, or when they do drag, or just I don't know, Eddie Murphy doing drag and other stuff like that. And the main difference, and I've talked about this before, the main difference between those situations or is that when, Jamie Foxx or something did it on In Living Color or other places, or Eddie Murphy does it, the point of it is that men make ugly women. Men make ridiculous women, and that's the joke, that men can't be women. In drag, at drag shows and other things like that, first of all, I personally kind of think they look like monsters, so I don't understand. It feels like clowns, I don't know, took drugs and decided to go to prom or something. Like, I think drag is just monstrous, and I don't enjoy seeing it. I think it's aesthetically just disgusting. And I don't see a drag show any different than a minstrel show, personally. And you can try to tell me why you think it's different. But a minstrel show, if you're not familiar, back in the day, people would have these shows and they dress up. White people would dress up in blackface, and I don't mean they dressed up like, a singer that they like it on Halloween because they admired them. They like don their face and like really, really black makeup. Not trying to be a brown, like, normal complexion. They be like, really dark, and they just look ridiculous. and they'd sing and they dance and be like caricatures of Black people. And so it's very offensive. That's why when people talk about blackface today, that's what they relate it back to. Um, and that's why it's such a touchy topic for people, and they hate it, and they're extra sensitive about it because of that history. And these people dressing up like Black people and making them look foolish in a lot of situations. Okay. What are drag queens doing? They're dressing up like women as this exaggerated sort of figure as women, and they look garish and disgusting. In my opinion, you could free to yours. And they do these shows where they're mocking femininity and womanhood and all sorts of different. They mock everything according to RuPaul. He said drag, will never be mainstream because it mocks like everything or whatever. So if you enjoy drag, I know there's people who are straight or whatever who like, to go to drag shows. Some people like things in poor taste. So I raise my eyebrow to you, but you're more than welcome to enjoy what you enjoy, and people enjoyed minstrel shows back then. So I don't appreciate the profession, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And by the way, there was a movie that came out with like John Leguizamo was in it, Patrick Swayze, and who played Blade. Somebody help me out in the comments. Wesley Snipes. I don't Two Man Fu, or I don't remember what the movie was called, but they were like drag queens, and that movie sparked a lot of controversy and stuff. My dad was like so mad and stuff when that came out. That's why sometimes when people are like, nobody ever cared about drag queens and drag and stuff before. I'm like, my parents never liked it. We never liked it. Like, I still don't like it. Some people are like, we just don't want it around their kids. I don't like it. I don't like it, period. I definitely don't run around the kids because I don't understand why so many people are eager to specifically have adult entertainers participate in the children's space. And I've never really got a great answer on that. And I wrote an article more in depth about it, but I don't like drag. But anyway, him dressing up in the dress and going to the Dove Awards and inviting, if he has a space to invite people, they want to come and hang out. I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to be there or whatnot, but that has nothing to do with God. and he says he wants to stand up for Christians and stuff. Like, look, we're not supposed to conform to the world. We're supposed to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And this is someone who's conformed to the ways of the world. And you can I'm not saying you gotta isolate yourself and only, I don't know, be at a nunnery or something like that. We're in the world, we're not supposed to be of the world. And just simply capitulating to folks around you is not showing them love. The Bible says that love doesn't rejoice in wrongdoing. And you can like the Bible, you cannot like the Bible, you can believe in the Bible, and you cannot believe in the Bible. But the Old Testament, New Testament, they both have very particular opinions on cross-dressing too, but on same-sex relations and stuff. So there's a really good video that Bachman did. Gosh, what's his first name? Vadi Bachman. And though he's a Calvinist, I'm not a Calvinist, but he does a 2-part series. It's really good. The first one is like Gay the New Black, and then I'll remember what part 2 is. And Mike Winger does a really good video on it, and it's like 4 videos long. So if you're interested in the topic, there's some, that's some good ones that to go through. The Mike Winger video is pretty thorough. And talks about the progressive sort of Christianity view on it, and goes through why those things don't make sense. And so see, it's a very thorough explanation on all that stuff. So you can believe, you cannot believe, but why try to compromise what's in the book, dude? You know, why try to compromise? It is what it is. It is what it is. And also him saying that as a cisgender straight person, um the cisgender stuff is the gender ideology religion. um you can say, well, cis just means that you identify in the body that you know that me being a woman, and if I identified as a woman, and that's, the assigned, gender of birth, what it correlates with my body or whatever. That's what they'd say is cis. But I'm not cis because I don't identify as a woman. I am a woman. So people going along with the cisgender stuff is them, submitting to that particularly religious opinion. I guess I'll call it a religious opinion, that ideology. So if you don't believe in all that stuff, don't let people call you cis, and don't take up that mantle, because you're buying into that delusion, you're buying onto that thing that's not true. And you keep pushing a lie. By the way, the Trevor Project, which is an association that deals with LGBT, well, particularly trans stuff, they tweeted out something today. Let me just share with you guys really quick. A friend of mine, this is Savvy, had tweeted it. That's how I first saw it. So let me share my screen. So they said using correct pronouns is well, I don't want to get flagged, but I don't know if this episode's already flagged, but unaliving prevention using correct pronouns transcends gender identity. Using correct pronouns is basic human dignity. Using correct pronouns is affirming and validating. Using correct pronouns is allyship in action. So this group really pressures people and pushes the would you rather have an alive son than a dead daughter kind of narrative. This sort of narrative that led to Chloe Cole's parents agreeing to her chopping off her breasts, which she sincerely misses. And you if people are going to unalive themselves because you won't call them the correct pronoun, they are what you would call unwell. They are not okay. And people demanding that you use the pronouns, you are giving treatment. What you think is treatment, what they think is treatment. And that's not appropriate. They need to get help. They need to get help and tackle whatever underlying conditions with their mentality has led them to this sort of gender dysphoria, if they have genuine dysphoria. But it could, people could have depression mixed with internalized misogyny and all sorts of different things that are hyping up their depression and other stuff like that. But because there's such praise and adoration with the transgender movement, a lot of people are self-diagnosing when it's just not appropriate. So we cannot conform the entire world to around this ideology. We just can't. It's not healthy for the individuals who suffer from gender dysphoria, and it's not healthy for the rest of the world. We're just making everyone more sick. Like, we're not making you better. We're making everyone more sick. And as a religious person, I am not going to lie for you or to you. I respect us both too much. And of course, the Lord. But am I going to lie to you? Like, I want you to get help. I genuinely want people to get help, but this isn't helping them. This isn't helping them. You can say, well, help some people. If me not using your correct pronoun, you're saying that someone is going to unalive themselves. They are not helped. They are unwell. And we are just piling onto the condition and making it worse, not better. Not better. So, I'm curious what my sister wrote. Hold on. I just pull it up. I trust it. Jesus ate with the sinners and initiated change. Come as you are is not needing is you not needing to change prior to coming to Christ, but he wants you to be like him. Yes, very true. Very true. Very true. So you know, so the person, obviously they wanted to cause a stir and an uproar or whatever, and get some attention. It's for attention for them, attention for their friends, and the whole allyship and stuff. um you know so here's some of that attention they ordered. What can we say? What other reason for is there for them to do that? But I don't like drag, you know and I don't care that he says he's straight. You ain't straight enough for me, bro. You ain't straight. Not that I guess it matters, but other than me talking about it, like I guess what would he care? But not appropriate. Absolutely not appropriate. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, different videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost to stream, cost to run my website, all that stuff. So you guys can support in that way. I do very much appreciate it. Check out different merchandise that's available at blacktnews.com, such as we got pro-life stuff. We got the You Are Not That Special. Oh, since we're on the topic, or just got off the topic, the Life Wins shirt. Life Wins is the pro-life shirt. Of course, they had Love Wins after trending everywhere with the pride stuff after the Supreme Court decision and stuff. People say that all the time. So I just, piggybacked after that and had all the colors of the actual rainbow and in there. You probably can't see it, but it has a scripture from Genesis in there and stuff too. So that's available at blacktnews.com along with other stuff as well. So check that out. And it's also the weekend, and I guess I recommend you guys read my books all the time, but go check out a new book for the weekend and read it. I got 17. If you go to blacktnews.com on the merchandise pages or banner, will take you to my book website. So go ahead and check out my nonfiction books and my fiction books. There's something for you. There's something for older readers as well. Like, got that book, The Dark Mermaid. Ooh. So also my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. I recommend you guys checking out, which talks about rights, talks about science, talks about religion, obviously, the political landscape, etc. So please go ahead and check that out. And I'm very excited because my church is in revival this week. And if you're in Michigan area, you're more than welcome to come. But yeah, I'm excited, and so I'm gonna have a good weekend, and I'll be bright and happy on Monday. Assuming the world's still here. But this weekend is gonna be on fire for God. Hallelujah. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys on